What's going on, everybody? How you doing? Rico Satterfield here, your mental performance consultant from Exposure Academy. Today, I'm excited about our guest, y'all, because we are going international today. Yes, you heard me. We're going international. Where are we going? I need you to come with us. We're going on the trip all the way to Australia. We're going to Australia. I don't know if you guys ever been before, but I got something special for you guys. We got Kayla Waller, who's a professional softball player over in Australia, but guess what? She got some history right here in the States as well. So, yes, we're going international to have this conversation. But listen, if you have not already, make sure you go over, like, subscribe, and follow us over on YouTube, our YouTube channel. You can catch all the other amazing episodes that we've had. But without further ado, I want to jump into this one. Y'all, I think this one's going to be a good one. All my Australia people here. Yep. Tune in, tune in. Call your friends, tune in. Come on, Kayla, introduce yourself to the people. Tell them a little bit more about yourself and what you're doing. And welcome to Exposure Talks.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. I have been looking forward to this for so long since I met you. It's been a couple months of getting to know each other, and I've been really enjoying it. Yeah, as you said, I'm Kayla. Thank you for mentioning the accent. I think it would have thrown people off if you were saying Australia and then my accent comes on in. I was born and raised in Kansas, USA. My mom's Australian. She went over there and played Div 1 college at Wichita State. And my
Shout out
dad's
to mom.
American.
Shout out to
Shout out,
mom
mama.
in
Shout out,
Wichita
mama.
State.
Yeah, I'm sure she will be listening to this as soon as it's posted. And then dad, born and raised in Kansas, and met mom through college, and had myself and my two little sisters after they got married, and we moved over here in 2008. So I've been calling Australia home for 18 years now, but the accent's just
So hold on. So dad had some little international flavor when he was in school.
apparently so. Apparently
Uh-huh.
so. Yeah, mom's family wasn't very happy when she went over for college, and it was meant to be a 4-year stint, and it turned into about a 15-year stint coming back with the
Ooh.
husband and kids. So
Dad went to work. I'm gonna have
yeah,
to have mom on the podcast.
oh, she would love that, I'm sure.
Well,
She's awesome. But yeah, it's
but
go for it.
no, I want to
Go on,
find
you
out from
got
you. So
questions? You got questions? I can see them.
yeah. I have tons of questions for you. The first question, though, I want to start with is tell us a little bit about your sports background. So you were born and raised in Kansas, or born in Kansas and then Australia right after you were born.
So I was there till I was 8 years old. So I was
Got it.
raised from when I was born till I was 8, so grade 2, and then we moved over here. I did go back in 2010 and 2012 for family, and then 2014 and 16 I actually went to New Mexico and played summer softball. Haven't been back for 10 years, but I did have a few stints over there, which I'm missing it. It's been a very long stint of not being back over there. My sport background starts from mom and dad. Surprise, surprise. Dad played
Hmm.
football in college and then coached college football, and mom played softball in college and then coached college softball while we were over there. So I think I was about 5 days old when I went to my first football training. I think that
Oh,
was
nice. Where dad coach at?
in a private college in Kansas.
Okay, a private school in
Yeah.
Kansas. And mom, did she
Yeah.
did she coach in Kansas as well?
She did a club Mustang softball in Kansas. Shout out Mustang
Let's go,
softball.
mom.
Shout
So
out.
you
Yeah, she
telling
was a
me
pitching
so
coach.
basically softball is in your veins, and toughness and performance, that grit and grind you get from dad and mom.
Yep. Yeah, I was born to be a sports player. I was born to be surrounded by sport. Yeah, I was 4 days old when I made my first training. I think I was a couple weeks old when I hit the road with mom and the team to do some travel
Wow.
softball. And yeah, I think I was 4 years old when I picked up my first softball and strapped on the cleats and got onto the field.
Wow.
So I'm 22 years playing softball.
22 years playing
That makes
softball.
me sound so old, but yes, 22 years playing ball.
You you know, it doesn't surprise me though, because a lot of my guests and a lot of the people, even that intern with me, have been doing like whatever it is they're doing, whether it's swimming, they've been doing it 16 years. And it really speaks to the level of commitment. And when we say that there's a lot of pressure on athletes, I don't think the pressure is quantified just by being in college. I think the
Mm,
pressure is the amount of commitment and time and investment that you made all the years. And now I'm at the pinnacle of this thing. The pressure is, am I going further or is this it?
yeah.
Right? Or is it over? Talk to me about you. So you played ball, high school. Where'd you play college at?
I didn't play, so it's a bit different over here. So as you know, we've had these conversations before, but over here you don't play your sport through school. So it's everything outside of school. So I am attending college. I'm doing a double bachelor's degree in business and
Come on, double
international.
bachelors.
Yeah, double batch. I have 2 more courses and I'm done, so I'll be graduating in May, which is really exciting. Thank you.
Let's
It's
go.
been a very, very,
Congratulations.
very long time studying. Yeah, you don't do anything through college or through high school, so you play everything outside here in Australia. I've been playing, I'm trying to find the comparison, kind of regional softball so I represent
Mhm.
Brisbane here. I've been doing that since I was 14. I've been playing
Wow.
states, so representing Queensland since I was 15. And
Shout
I
out to
am,
Brisbane and Queensland.
yeah, yeah, and I'm representing Tasmania at the moment at the Open Women's, so at the
Come on,
pinnacle of my
Tasmania.
sport here. Yeah, Tassie Tigers. So I've been doing that. This is my 3rd year this year, so I've been representing for quite some time.
So talk to me a little bit about for you. What is that like kind of not having that college experience? And basically what I'm hearing you say is you go from playing high school ball to playing regional, but regional kind of is like almost like semi-pro, like before you go into professional.
Yeah. So over here, it's not based as professional. It's more, we call it representative because we don't get paid. So professional players over here, they're representatives because we don't get any money or any
Got
support
you.
or anything like that over here. So yeah, you're playing representative and paying for every single thing that you attend. So, when I'm
Wow.
younger and I'm playing 3 different age groups at 3 different venues. I'm paying for 3 different tournaments, not to mention the parents coming and the family coming and things like that. It gets pretty tough. That's where you kind of see those dropout rates at that 16 to 18, 19-year-old girls because it gets too expensive.
Wow, wow. So you're
Mm.
saying, wow, you called it representatives versus being professional paid players. Is it the same for you at the Tasmania Tigers level as well? Wow. So I think
Yes.
that's shocking, gonna be really shocking to a lot of our listeners because I think, here in the States, it's just assumed, right, that all of the Australian athletes that you see on TV or that you see like at this high level competing, that it's just same way as the American pro athletes, right? But you're saying it's not the same.
Correct. Yeah. So we have a professional baseball league over here in Australia, but we don't have a professional softball league whatsoever. So when I'm playing Tasmania, it's every state versus every state. That's the highest you
Mm.
can play. It's the best competition, but it's only one tournament a year, and everyone has to pay to get there. So we do a lot of fundraising, a lot of sponsorships, and yeah, it's a struggle. Probably out 2 to 4 grand a year just for that.
So what I hear you saying, there's some great opportunity. All you people, companies, and organizations. Sounds like there's some great opportunities for some sponsorships to happen. And I'm excited about seeing kind of what you're doing. I've been following you even most recently. I saw kind of the season that you guys had, and you listen, you're a go-getter. Like I see you setting things up for the team over there. I've been watching photo shoots. I've been watching you traveling. I'm seeing all the things that it takes and that you're putting into this. Let me ask you this question. Where do you get your encouragement to keep doing this after all these years, 22 years?
You know what? I was thinking about this last night before the podcast because it's actually currently 6:36 in the morning here in Brisbane. So,
Whoa.
which is hilarious. Yeah, that's the time difference, by the way, for everyone listening. Yes, I did.
6:36 in the morning.
Yeah, I chugged coffee before I did this because I was like, I'm gonna be half asleep if I don't. But I was thinking about it last night, talking to my mom about it, because you always get that question of why. That's the big thing. Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Why do you play? And I thought about when I was probably 20 years old, 21 years old. I got a job and I had to work weekends. I had to work nights. I kind of had to shift away from softball a little bit more. I didn't play summer season as much as I usually did. I couldn't train because I was working nights, but it was kind of that job that I was looking for at the time. It was at a hotel. I was
Mhm,
becoming a manager. It was a good role, great experience
mhm,
for what I wanted to do. But because I've played softball for so long and I'm such a person, being
mhm,
isolated and not having that getaway to sport was really,
mhm,
really hard. And I struggled because it was out of routine when, the world is so loud and your life is so loud and you don't have that quiet spot to go to. I didn't realize how much softball meant to me until that moment. So,
wow.
when I got back into it, and I had a bad day at work and I had 3 assignments due that week and, I moved out, so I was becoming an adult and worrying about rent and bills and, did I take the clothes off the line before it started pouring down this afternoon? All those little things.
Mhm,
The second I got to step onto that dirt and step over the line, my mind was quiet because all could think about was, I'm a catcher, so I was worried about the 70-mile-per-hour fastball coming at my face. So I can't really think about anything else when you're doing stuff like that. So, softball's just always been my quiet spot, my breath of fresh air
mm,
and I get to be with my friends. I get to focus on something. It's the challenge of,
mm,
being able to go there and really work hard on something and see your progress throughout the couple weeks. And it's just good resilience. Like at the end of the day, it's taught me to keep going. And, we have so
mhm,
many barriers. That is a perfect example. We don't have money. So, it's a big barrier over here and having to spend 2, 4 grand. And instead of going, well, I'm not playing anymore. I don't want to spend that. I'm going, okay, here's a good challenge. Let's see how much money I can fundraise, not only for myself, but for my whole team. Because
mhm.
if they can't pay to play, I can't play. So let's just bring
Right.
everyone along with me. So, yeah, it's just been a big part of my life. And, I think a big thing I'm trying to do now and why I'm working with you so closely is that I want these girls to remember their why and try and push
Yeah.
past those barriers so they don't stop
Mm,
playing sport because sport is so, so, so important, I think, even at that
yeah.
grassroots level. I'm lucky enough to play at the representative and professional level, but, even just playing club ball, I think is so important for these girls. So,
I love that you said it's so important, and it's kind of leaning me into the direction I wanted to go, which is how has your faith played a role in you talked about getting over some of those barriers and those obstacles. Like, how has that helped you kind of going through this and transitioning? Also, let's talk about, right, when you're fundraising, you have to have some element of faith and believing that people will believe in what it is that you guys are doing in order for you to fundraise. So how does faith play a role in that for you?
really turned around in my faith. I
Mhm,
went through a couple of non-selections and a couple of hard times in my life where I'm going, why is this happening to me? Why is this, you know, my path I don't understand? I've had to change my mindset to, God has given me the tools to be able to get through anything. And God's putting this in
mhm,
my path for a reason. And there's nothing that I cannot do without, my faith in myself and faith in God and faith in what I want to do. So
yeah,
that's for me personally is as having faith that I know I can get through anything as long as I stay tough and stay positive and really make sure it's step by step. It's not looking at the future and trying to plan what's going to happen. It's taking everything day
mm,
by day, and I think that's the same thing with the fundraising and with everything like that. I have faith in in my girls that we're going to have a good tournament and I have faith
yeah,
in my team and what we are trying to represent in Tasmania. We're the first
mhm,
girls in 20 years to represent Tasmania because they don't have coaches, high performance, they don't have anything down there. So we're down there to to represent them and to bring softball back into the state. And they got to have faith in
Mhm.
us that we're going to represent them just as much as we have faith in them that they're going to support us in doing that. So
That's
definitely.
kinda That's kinda, exciting to me, though, like, hearing that. I think I love the idea that you guys are operating as a unit and not when you said, "I'm not just fundraising for me, but I'm fundraising for the team because if they can't play, I can." That almost builds, or I ain't gonna say almost, it builds community and
Hmm.
connection kind of for one goal, one cause, one purpose. For you, talk to me about, you mentioned there were times where you didn't get selected. Talk to me about during that time for you, because that's a lot of pressure. I imagine with, right, there's no, I'll just go play in this league or I'll just go do this. When you're not selected, you're not playing, correct? And so talk to me about for you, how did you in that moment, was it a scripture? Was it prayer for you? Was it quiet time during those times where you weren't selected? What did you do when it was not working in your favor?
Uh,
And I'm talking practically, what'd you do?
yeah.
And if you ain't do
Okay.
none of that, and maybe you did some,
I'm going to be real honest with you.
yeah.
I said I like a challenge and I'm a very competitive person. You know, when I was younger and I got non selected, it was why me and what did I do wrong and why is she better? And it was a lot of comparing and
Mhm.
assuming. And assuming
Mhm.
is never good for anyone. So um, I've really changed my mindset around to going, okay, so this is not my path at this point in time. Accepting it is probably the biggest thing that I've learned is going, I can't change what's happened. I cannot control the
Mm.
uncontrollables. So I cannot control that I was not selected.
I
It's
love that.
happened. It's happened. You know, you need to be able to feel those emotions, feel the anger, feel the sadness, get through it. But then you have to take those next steps, you know? And my next
Mhm.
steps are usually, okay, so I was not selected, you know, I'm outside of the squad, but what am I going to do to push that squad? Because at the end of the day, they're representing the state or the country. So what am I
Mhm.
going to do on the outside to push them? So when I play against them, I'm pushing them to their limits because it's going to make them better and make myself better. And then it's focusing on the little things that I want to better for my sport and what I want to better
Mm.
in my skill set, you know, and just challenging yourself a little bit, you know. So getting some feedback from coaches, not taking it to heart. It's not a personal attack. If you ask for
Yeah.
feedback and they give you feedback, it's what you do with it, right? And it's what you do with a setback like that that's going to make it better. So you know, my best friend and I, we coach, and our coaching business is called Next Pitch because we want these kids to focus on the next thing. You cannot
Mm.
change what happened before as a
Right.
pitcher. As a pitcher, if you give up a home run, you cannot change it. You cannot take it back. But what you can is worry about the next pitch. So put the pressure on the
Mm.
next batter. You know, it's their turn. It's their pressure's on them to back up a home run. There's no pressure
Mhm.
on you, so you need to focus on the next pitch. So that's just kind of what my mindset has been when it comes to non-selection is what am I going to do next? You know, that's what matters. It's not about not being selected, it's about what I'm going to do to either get back into the program or to better myself as an athlete so the next time selection's up,
Mhm.
I'm there for selection. That makes sense.
I love hearing you say that it's called next pitch and you're focused on next because oftentimes I share with people everything that exists in us mentally exists because of the habits and actions that we've done, the things we've said in the past. But what allows us the opportunity to have something new is what you say next, what you do next, right? The
Mhm.
habits that you create now, starting right now. And so I love that you guys are working to embed this, right? Controllables, uncontrollables, they're not going anywhere. And I oftentimes tell people right now, for a long time, we've done this thing where we encourage people to only think positive, and that's a great thing. However, we also have
Mhm.
to help people to understand that pain actually has a quality attached to it that's going to help you grow. And so you
Mhm.
don't have to live your life trying to stay away from pain. You just have to know that when you take these steps and you have healthy habits and you make good decisions, Even when pain comes, you still commit yourself to the good quality decisions.
Mhm.
It sounds like that's what you did on your journey. Like you didn't just allow the negativity to bombard you to say you're not good enough, to say you're not going to make the team next time. But you said, I leaned into what way I can help the team. What are the things I need to grow in and improve, make improvements on? And that kind of helped you move forward.
Yep.
Here's my question to you. When you continued on, obviously you had these times where you weren't selected and you were in the next version of yourself when you did get selected. What was the difference in time frame for you from when you was not selected and then when you were selected again? Was it one season? Was it a few seasons?
Yeah, so you have to wait usually an entire year until the next tournament to be reselected. So, yeah, I would say probably a year. Sometimes it was 6 months. Sometimes you're selected for something else, or sometimes you're still in the squad, but you weren't selected in the traveling team. So,
Mhm.
yeah, there were times when it was a month, a couple months, and then there was times when it was a full year until you're reselected again. So,
Gotcha.
it's and I loved your point of, you're telling all these kids to be positive and to think happy and be happy. And I
Mhm.
feel like they put a lot of pressure on themselves to feel that. So when an emotion comes like anger or anxiety or frustration or sadness or whatever, they go, "Well, I can't feel that. I can't feel that." When the reality
Right.
is they need to
You need to
acknowledge
feel it.
it. You need to
Mhm.
acknowledge it and you
Mhm.
need to let it go through you and not let it sit on you. That's, what I
Right.
try and tell these kids is you need to go, yeah, okay, I'm frustrated, or yeah, my last at bat wasn't very good and I got struck out. So you need to acknowledge that because the last thing you want to do is try not to think about it. It's only going to make you think about it. And then you're going to get in the
Mhm.
box and you're going to think about the past when you need to be thinking about what's in front of you. So
Mm.
I have a good saying that I like to say before I hit is I'm faithful where I'm planted.
Mm.
So I'm faithful where I'm planted. I'm faithful where I am right now. So, I make sure I
Mm.
check where I am. I'm in the batter's box. I'm in the circle about to go into the batter's box. I'm faithful where I am right now. So not my
Mm.
last at bat, not my last couple games, not the next few games. I'm faithful right here. So that's where I'm gonna put all my energy is where I'm planted at the time.
I love that. In order for you to bloom where you're planted, you said, I'm faithful where I am. I used bloom where you're planted. In order for you to do that, you must recognize that you have an opportunity where you are, right?
Mhm.
Faithful where I am. I tell people this as well. If you are faithful, then you align yourself with the one who is also faithful. And if you align yourself with the one that is also faithful and you are faithful, then all you're going to produce is faithfulness, right? You can't produce anything else. If you're faithful and then the one who is faithful, God is faithful, and you guys are working together, how are you going to lose?
Yep. Yep, and that's
How are
the
you going to
same thing with, those time frame things we were talking about reselection, right? I
lose?
can't sit here and wallow and be upset about not being selected, which is in the past. I can't worry
Yeah,
and stress about being selected in the future, but I can make myself better today. What am
today.
I going to do today? And I'm faithful in that by if I make myself better today and I focus on making myself better tomorrow, everything's going to, you keep working hard, it's going to be able to go in your favor. And just like when you get back into selection, right? So it's you weren't
Mhm.
selected, you might feel a bit of pressure, but it's I'm faithful in the work that I've done for a year. I'm
That's
faithful in
good.
all the practice, all the work I've been doing on myself. I'm faithful in that because I was faithful in myself every day. And now I'm here. I just got to
Mhm.
play ball. There's no stress on me. I know I've done the work. I'm just here to play. And, you know, good things will come from that. So,
I know you probably understand this being a catcher because being a catcher, you're in a seated position and you're waiting on a pitch to get to you, right?
mhm.
A lot of people think that that waiting place is a scary place, but that waiting place is actually a place of focus. Like
Yep.
it's not the time for you to cast off restraint or to delay or deny yourself. But I imagine for you, that time is still, I'm focused in on this ball's coming and it's coming a few different ways and it can go a few
Mhm,
different places, right? And I
mhm.
have to be focused on I'm the target. Like I'm the target. I think when I think of that, that it reminds me of people and their identity. Like
Mm,
if you recognize that the sport is the sport, but you're the target, meaning the outcome is not the target. Too many people get lost on
yep.
outcomes and chasing the trophies and don't recognize that they are the actual product. So your identity, your mindset sitting there at catcher is what? What is your mindset and your identity when you're playing your position?
I love the way you put it, and I think that's we try and push that over here especially is that, the sport is not my identity first off, and I think,
Mhm.
what I'm thinking about being that position and that catcher is back to what I said at the start of my quiet space, right? It's
Mm.
this is my time to not think about anything else but the ball that is flying at my face.
That's so good.
Can you cannot think about anything else when you have in kilometers, I'm catching about 105. In miles, I think it's like, yeah, 68, 69 miles an hour from 43 feet, from 13 meters. Having to do both measurements is doing my brain in. But like, you cannot think of anything else. I cannot think of anything when a ball is flying at my face. That's why I love this position. Is you have to be so zoned in on one
Mhm.
thing and one thing only, right? And
Mm.
it's the best feeling in the world. That's, one of my big whys is that nothing else matters. I just get to play ball, you know? I am the pitcher's entire eyesight. They are not looking at anything else but me. So I got to be switched on for her. I got to be switched on for my safety so I
Mm.
don't get a ball to the face. I got to be switched on to make sure the umpire doesn't get hit behind me.
Yeah.
I got to be switched on to make sure the batter doesn't know what's coming and I'm keeping her guessing, right? Like that when I'm in that position, like am everyone and everyone's looking at me, right? Everyone's
Yeah.
waiting for what I'm about to do. So
Mm.
I carry that responsibility on my shoulders because I love it and I want that. I strive to be the person that makes that call.
I love that. When so what I'm my takeaway from you is when all eyes are on you, your focus still has to be on what you were called to do.
Yeah. Yeah. It can't be, and it's hard as a catcher because you do got to think of
That's
the
good.
next pitch. You got to think of the next pitch and you got to think of the next batter and you got to think of the situation. We have a lot to think about, but the best thing about it is that you're not stressing about it. This is your duty. This is your responsibility as a catcher,
Yeah.
right? And you got to be that presence. You got to be that big chest, that big voice, that big energy
Mhm.
because everyone's energy feeds off you. So,
Mm.
yes, as much as everyone's eyes on me, you have to stand up to it and you have to be ready for it. But it's the best thing ever because it's ball. Like it's away from everything else, right? You don't, it's so good.
Yeah.
I could talk about it forever. It's
I
too good.
love this. When you say that though, it makes me think about this, Kayla. There's a scripture that says before you were in your mother's womb that God knew you and he
Mm.
ordained you. I want to ask you, what labels have you accepted or let's say have been put on you that didn't align with what God says about you? What labels have existed around you that you've wrestled with?
Well, that's an interesting question. It's interesting because a lot of the labels that I've wrestled with, I've brought upon myself with
Mm,
pressure and with overthinking and being an athlete. So it's an interesting take,
wow.
I think. A good label that I find myself struggling with is perfectionism. So because I'm an athlete,
Mm,
yeah, because I'm an athlete, I want everything to be right. I want everything to be
yeah.
good. I want every swing to be good. I want every catch to be good. I want to throw everyone out. I want to hit, smack the ball over the fence every time. So
Mhm.
perfectionism is definitely something I struggle with, but it's not an outward label. It's the label that's come from myself, which I think a lot of athletes struggle with. But I think that's a challenge on athletes that you put on yourself, but I think God puts on yourself. Because if you can't fight yourself here, what happens when a challenge arises around you? I think you have to be
Yeah,
headstrong here to be able to guide yourself through challenges, and that's through sport challenges and life challenges. But I think a lot of athletes, labels that are brought upon them are from themselves. I don't think it's from a lot of external
outside.
environments.
Oh,
Yeah.
Kayla, I love that because that's
Yeah.
something that I teach, that a lot of what's coming to you is not about what people say. It's actually about what you believe internally
Correct.
about what they
Correct.
say. Right? And so if I fall entrapped with people pleasing, or if I
Mhm.
find a codependency
Mhm.
from getting validation from others, all of those things can become an entrapment from me being the best version of myself and actually believing in myself, not based on my performance, but believing in having intrinsic value that is separate from all the things that are outside of me. Let's
Absolutely.
talk about this. This is good. I love this conversation. I want to talk about how you deal with when you feel anxiousness, because a lot of athletes get that game day anxiety, or big game coming up, or a big moment is happening in the game, and they get anxious.
Yeah.
The Bible says, be anxious for nothing. How do you prevent yourself from, I guess, allowing anxious feelings to overtake you?
Yeah. I think the first thing I realize is the difference between nerves and anxiety. So I
Mhm.
think nerves can be a good thing. Nerves shows that you're excited. Nerves
Mhm.
show that you care, So being a little bit nervous, I don't think is a bad thing at all. I think you lean into that. You get a few jitteries, you get a few butterflies. It's a good thing. You're ready to go. It's your body,
Mhm.
preempting you for a big moment. And
Mhm.
anxiety is worrying about the future, right? So anxiety is sitting there going, what if this happens? What if I don't swing? What if I'm not playing? What if I sit on the bench? What if I strike out? What if I make an error? What if, and it's all these what ifs, and
Mhm.
anxiety is worrying about the future, which is the most hilarious thing when you sit back and think about it, because you cannot, why are you worrying about something that might not even happen, that you have no control? Like, it's the craziest thing to worry about. So I ground myself and I go, I can't worry about that. I got to worry
Mm.
about here. I got to get myself prepared. Instead of freaking out about the moment, I got to prepare myself for the moment. So, it's being able to
Ooh, hold
sit.
on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. You said instead of worrying about the moment, I have to prepare myself for the moment.
Yeah, yeah.
Ooh.
Preparation, yeah, that's what you can do now, right? I can't worry about what I do in the moment. I go worry about now. So when I get there, I'm ready, right? So, that's that mentality of training. I think a lot of athletes miss out on. Why they are unsuccessful in those moments is because they don't train like they're in the moment. So when you're
Say that
at
again, Kayla. Say that
yeah,
again.
when you're at training, yeah, you can take 10 ground balls, and if you make an error, you get an 11th ground ball, but that's not preparing you for the moment. You don't get a second chance in the moment. So you get 3 ground balls. If you mess up, you mess up. If you don't, you're successful, right? You might only be successful
Mm.
3 times out of 10 in your entire career. But if you're prepared for those 10 times, you're one step ahead of everyone else, right? Like, you have to be able to prepare yourself for the
Yeah.
moment. So there's no point stressing about it, because when you get to the moment, you hear a lot of these elite athletes. I talk to gold medal Olympians and Paralympians, and I talk
Mhm.
to legends of my sport. And I say,
Yeah.
what were you feeling in that moment? When you hit a home run in the
Right.
Olympics, when you won a gold medal, what were you feeling? And they went, calm, quiet. I was ready. I was prepared for the moment. There was no anxiety because
Yeah.
I knew the
That's
work
so
I
good.
put in. Like, you need to
Yeah.
walk in there, and it's not false confidence. but you need to walk in there with the faith of what you've put in. So I'm walking in
Right.
the moment going, I belong in this moment. I belong here because of
Mhm.
all the work I've done, all the pressure
Right.
I've put on myself at training to be prepared for this. I'm ready to go. There's no what ifs. I know I'm going to be successful in this moment because of the work I've put in. And if you go in with that mindset, half of the job's done, honestly.
Yeah.
Half of the job
Yeah.
is done. I know as a catcher when a batter walks in a big moment, I know if I have them or not just by looking at them, by looking at their body language. If they're and they're, shaking off the jitters and they're playing with the dirt and they're getting in and they're scared, I know we have them. I know for a fact.
Mm.
But the second someone walks in, they're calm, their breathing's under control, they're staring down my pitcher. That's when I go, we got some work to do. We got some work to do, But it's the same thing as me, right? If I'm walking and I'm
Yeah.
screaming and I'm like all around the place, my pitcher's not going to be settled. But if I'm
Absolutely.
calm, collected, if I'm in the zone, if my shoulders are back, if I know what I'm doing and my presence is showing I know what I'm doing, everyone in the
Mhm.
team has that confidence in me and I have confidence in them, right? So it's yeah, dealing with anxieties, you cannot worry about the moment. You just got to prepare yourself for the moment. That's, you can be nervous and you can be, have the jitters. Nerves are good, but you got to use that energy to prepare yourself for the moment. So when you get to the moment,
That
nothing's hitting you.
it reminds me, Kayla, that reminds me of a scripture that says all things work together for the good
Mhm.
of them that love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. Like when you know that you're called for the moment, like you said, there's a calm and a quietness because this is not a performance. This is purpose, right? And I've been preparing myself to live out my purpose. And when you've prepared yourself properly, then and purpose calls, you answer,
Mhm.
right? I'm not prepared any longer. Now it's time to play ball, right? It's time to play
Yeah.
ball at that point.
Yep.
Listen,
And you
I
should be
love
like,
this.
yeah, mentality, like for these athletes, it should be a breath of fresh air when you hit that moment. You should be training, so putting so much pressure and obstacles and challenges in training and on yourself day and day and day. So when it gets to the moment, it's like a breath of fresh air. It's like,
Yeah,
thank God I'm here. This is what I've been waiting
yeah.
for. Like, you should be excited for that moment? It's not, oh my God, I haven't done this. It's, I have visualized this. I've had my coach
Mm,
smack the ball at me. I have
yeah,
bruises to prove that I've been in this moment at training. Like,
yeah.
I am ready for it. Thank goodness it is here because I cannot wait any longer. Like, that's when you know you've prepared yourself to the best of your ability, I think.
I love the direction we're going. I got a few more questions for you.
Mhm.
One of those is when you hear the word rooted in greatness, what does that mean to you?
I think it's that faith that we've been talking about in everything that you're doing day in, day out. I think
Mm,
rooted in greatness is to me when I picture it, when I close my eyes, is that moment. And it's the roots is everything you do every single day
mm,
to get to that greatness moment, to get to the pinnacle. Rooted in greatness to me is building those roots and it's the things you do every day. It's every single
mm,
little minuscule things are your roots that spread into the tree of greatness, I think is what I think about
mm,
it. It's the tiny little things that, do you want to stretch every day so you feel better? No. But that little thing you do, you're going to be fitter and not injured more than anyone else when it comes to the time, right? It's those little things
mm,
that athletes can do every single day.
mhm.
That's what's going to make you great. That's going to separate you from the good athletes to the great athletes.
I love it. When I hear your answer just then, it made me think about so many people are focused on big things happening, making a big impact. And because we get so focused on big things, we miss out on small moments that cause big things to happen. Right.
Yeah.
And I tell people if you quit overlooking those small places in your life, the small commitments, the small thoughts that come by, if you take care of little things, big things will take care of themselves. And the roots, like you said, the roots are those little things like seeds get planted in the ground. And then the roots come from the little seeds that are planted in the ground and buried under the ground. So I always say to people, if you're not okay with being buried, then why do you expect to grow?
And roots are the foundation, right? Roots are the strongest part of the
Yeah.
tree. Roots give the tree life. Roots are the anchor to everything. So when
Mhm.
I think of roots, it's what you do that are non-negotiables. They are what make
Yeah.
you strong. They are what make you great, right? So that's what I think when you're saying rooted in greatness, it's, little things that are non-negotiables that you
Mhm.
do to make yourself great, and they have to be your roots. You cannot change them, right? So we have the mindset over here, they're your pillars. So we call them pillars over here. So you have your
Yes.
pillars that
I love
are
pillars.
yeah, they're immovable. They are non-negotiables. They cannot change, right? And they
Yeah.
you don't, you have a lot of people on social media that, you have to be up at 4 a.m. and run how many miles and you have to eat clean and you have to do this and you have to do this. But it's the little things of like one of my pillars is I don't do something bad twice, right? So if I if
Mm.
I if I splurge, I went to the movies on Saturday night. I got some popcorn, a can of Coke. That's not eating healthy, but I don't do it 2 days in a row. So I can do
Right.
it once, but I'm not repeating the action twice, right? If I have a negative thought and have a bad at bat once, I'm not repeating it twice, right?
Wow.
So that's a pillar in my life that I stand by every single day. If I sleep in and I, don't feel like going to the gym and I go for a walk instead because my body's sore, that's great. I've
Mhm.
taken care of myself, but I'm not doing it
Yeah.
twice because that's how I form a bad habit, right? So, yeah, it's the little things you do every single day. A non-negotiable of mine is I mean, I'm getting old. My body is about 20 years older than I
Hold
am.
on.
Hold
What
on.
did you say?
My body is about 15, 20 years older than I am. So, a non-negotiable every day is that I have to stretch every single day. I
Mhm.
sit down, even if it's 5 minutes, sometimes it's 10, sometimes it's 15, but I put some music on, I put my headphones in, and I stretch every single day, no matter what, no
That's
matter
good.
how I'm feeling. It's a root of mine that because I do
Mhm.
that, I don't get injured, I stay healthy. I get it's a mindfulness of my day, of it's that quiet moment, right? And I just think, it's little things like that that some athletes, because they're trying to look at this bigger picture and they're like, I need to go to the
Yeah.
gym and I need to bench as much as I can and hit PBs and I need to, be training and hit 100
Mhm.
balls a day. It's like you don't,
Right. Right.
you
Right.
don't. That's not a route. That is you just, trying to be the biggest, tallest tree in the forest when at the end of the day, like you need to focus on what's in the dirt, what's buried. You need to focus on growing your roots out so you have a
Mm.
stable base and stable foundation so you can grow to be great, I think is
Right.
the,
I love
yeah.
that, Kayla. I have one more question for you before we have to get out of here.
Mhm.
My final question for you is why do you believe that athletes should invest in their mental health? And let me say it this way, because I don't like to say mental health. I say, why do you believe they should invest in their mental wealth? Because I believe it's time out for just
Mm.
standardizing and we have to start kind of teaching people that there's an abundance that goes with it. There's an abundance and we teach people to max out when it comes to lifting weights and we tell people to get the most out of going to therapy. I believe that there's spiritually that you can really get into a flow of abundance spiritually too that causes you to actually mentally incline instead of continuing to see declines. What are your thoughts about that?
I think as an athlete, you're so focused because you use your body for your sport. You're so focused on being in best physical shape. But they don't realize
Mhm.
that your body will give up before your mind does. And
Mm.
if you're not mentally prepared again for the moment, then it doesn't matter how physically prepared you are, you're going to be unsuccessful if you're not here and you're not, confident in yourself and confident in the work and prepared by doing the hard work and, growing those roots to be able to hit the moment. So I think perfect example is there's a movie, an older movie, I can't remember, but it's a football movie. Surprise, surprise, it's a sport movie reference from me. Yeah, but this linebacker's going, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. There's no way. So the coaches
Mhm.
blindfolded the player and he's having to bear
Facing the
crawl with
Giants.
someone. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I love that scene, right?
me
So
too. That seems
he's
powerful.
blindfolded, he's bear crawling with someone on his back. He's screaming he can't do it. He's screaming he can't make it halfway or to the 20 or 40. And he does the
Mhm.
entire field without knowing, right?
Mm,
Like you body will give up before your mind does. If you are strong and you work on your mental wealth and you work on
mm.
being so prepared for the moment that the moment excites you and doesn't scare you, then you are way beyond everyone else in your field. You have to, and you take care of your body, right? Like I just said, I stretch every
Yeah,
day, I eat well, I'm drink my water, not partying, I'm sleeping, I'm doing all this stuff. You got to do the same thing for your brain. If you're taking so
yeah,
much care with your body, take care of your brain too. No,
yeah, yeah,
that's how you separate yourself from the goods. To be great, that's how you separate yourself. You gotta be here. You can't focus on the future. You gotta focus day by day by day, and that comes with practice.
Well, listen, Kayla, first of all, this conversation has been phenomenal. I am super duper excited to really, man, get connected to all of the athletes there in Australia. I'm so excited, y'all. I'm gonna make this official announcement on this show with Kayla. Kayla is our leader over in Australia, and she's gonna be leading the work that we'll be doing and programming that we're doing over in Australia. Yes, so exposure is coming to Australia, and Kayla is gonna be leading this work, and we excited about it. So all of my Aussies out there, hey, get ready. We're going to be bringing a lot of this stuff that we're doing over here, performance psychology, and we're going to be bringing people. I'm coming to Australia, y'all. I'm coming to Australia. I'm coming over. I'm coming over. And so I'm excited about it. Kayla, I'm so grateful to have you on our team and you to be to do this work with you because you're already doing the work. And I'm just excited to see the impact that we get to make working together. But tell people where they can find you at on socials.
Kayla Waller underscore on Instagram and TikTok. But yes, come say hi. Shoot me a message at any time. I'm obviously calling people at 6 a.m. So hit me up at any time and let's have a chat. I'm looking forward to hearing from some people.
Hey, listen, I'm so grateful, like I said, to work with you. You're amazing gift, and I'm so excited to see the impact that you're about to make and you continue to make on a bigger scale because I believe there are a lot of people that can be blessed from the work that you do, but also the wealth of wisdom that you have to share. Thank you for agreeing to be a part of our team, be a part of Exposure, but also Tasmania and all of the other things that you're doing there. They're blessed to have you. And so thank you for sharing your light and your love with your craft.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I really appreciate all the work you do and all the time you put into me. So I thank you for having faith in what I do and my craft and my witty sport jokes. I appreciate you. And yeah, I look forward to it. I think it's going to be really fun when you come over here. Got to work on that
I
accent
can't
though.
wait.
We'll get there.
I got to work on it. Yeah, we'll practice. We'll practice. We'll practice.